In this video, we want to take a look at using our linear growth formulas to answer some questions. So as a quick review, we had two ways of modeling linear problems, and that is recursively and explicitly. The recursive formula tells me how to find the very next thing. It's defined in terms of the one right before. So we say p sub n is equal to p sub n minus 1, the value right before this one, plus d, where d is the common difference. The explicit form doesn't rely on knowing everything in order. It gives me the value at any point in time, n. And it says p sub n is equal to p sub 0, where that sub 0 means initial or starting point, plus d times the n. So I'm going to multiply that change times however many units of time have passed. So let's take a look. First one, Pam is disc jockey, and she's buying 3 new albums every week, and she's starting with 450 albums. A recursive formula is going to be telling me how much I start with. So again, she has 450 to start with. Has to involve the change, tell me how to get from one to the next. She's adding 3. So I would say p sub 0, starting point is 450. And then in general, p sub n is going to be the one right before you, p sub n minus 1 plus 3. And it is a plus 3 because she's adding albums. Could we come up with an explicit form? Well, sure. Okay, so the explicit form says p sub 0, your starting point, plus d, that change, times the number of times that you're dealing with, so n. In this case, 450, p sub 0, plus 3, because that's the change, times n. So if I'm looking for 10 months down the road, I would put in a 10 for the n there, right? That's all that means. Let's take a look at another one. This time they've given me the recursive formula. It says p sub n is equal to p sub n minus 1 plus 30, and we're starting with p sub 0 equals 200. You always have to know that starting point along with that recursive formula, or you won't be able to actually work them out. All right, so first thing they ask is calculate p sub 1 and p sub 2. All right, so we know where we're starting, 200, and we know the recursive formula says you add 30 to get to the next one. So p sub 1, 200 plus 30 is 230. So using the recursive formula, we know that to get p sub 2, we're going to start with the answer we just got, 230, add another 30, and get to 260. As we said in a previous video, this could get really tedious if you want to know way down the road, because you'd have to do so many lines. So I'm thinking it might be more efficient to come up with an explicit formula. The explicit formula is, again, original plus the change times n. So in this case, that's 200 plus 30n. So for every year, we're going to add 30 more homes. All right, now we're going to use that, and we're going to predict what's going to happen in 10 years. So now my time, my n, is 10. So I'm just going to plug in the 10 for the n and do the arithmetic and come up with 500 homes in this subdivision or town in 10 years. What about if the question is flipped a little bit and it says, now find the number of houses, when the number of houses, reaches 400. Okay, so this time they didn't tell me the n, instead they told me the answer. So I've got 400 is equal to the formula, 200 initial plus 30 times n, and I have to solve for the n. Using my algebra, I'm going to subtract the 200 from both sides, then I'll divide by 30, and it's 6.7 approximately. So after the 6th year, almost by the 7th year. So just right almost at the 7th year, we will have 400 or more homes. I hope that helps. We're going to look at a few more involved types of problems in another video.